All right, time to introduce our special guests. They have been telling me they are no strangers to these studios. May I welcome Alex and Kevin from Space Party. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Yes, from Space Party, you're two of four members.
Yep.
If you would like to introduce yourselves and say what your role is in the band, please.
I'm Alex, and my role is lead and rhythm guitar.
My name's Kevin. I'm the bass player. I do a little backup singing. I'm the only member of the band who's not written an original song for the band yet, but there's still time, so.
There's still time, yes.
There's still time.
I did notice that on the song credits.
That's it.
The songwriting credits seem to be shared around, except there was no Kevin.
I looked at the sleeve at this last release, and I was thinking to myself, I need to lift my game. I need to contribute.
Before we get stuck into the nitty-gritty of your latest release, if you could give our audience just a brief background of the band's history. How did you guys meet? How did the band form? Where did you get the name?
Well, it's sort of opportune that it's us two, because it started with us two meeting. A mutual work colleague of mine introduced me to Kevin because, in his words, he likes the same weird shit you do.
No cursing.
And just pretend I bleeped that out.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, look, Kevin and I mucked around a little bit, well, actually for a couple of years, just doing surf instrumentals in the lounge room. There was just basically a vague idea of doing some recording, and that was that. Tried to find drummers, didn't quite work out. Then my wife had a colleague whose husband happened to be a drummer, and that was Darren. So we call our first rehearsal, which was February the 6th of 2006.
I can't confirm that.
Our start date of the band, so quite a while ago. And then we carried on as a three-piece, doing mostly instrumentals. Put out a couple of releases that were all instrumental, one vocal. And then around about 2015-16, we invited Nathan to join the band, our singer, and basically that's been great because, to be honest, I don't know how much longer we could have lasted as a purely instrumental band.
I think you're right. I think the fact that he also plays keyboard and guitar added a nice dimension, has added a nice dimension to the lineup too.
Yep.
So
yeah, reading in your bio, it says you were an instrumental band for about a decade. So
yeah. We did end up doing some vocal, and Darren would sing the odd song, but we also had a guest vocalist, a singer that I was in another band with occasionally join in. So we did covers and vocals, but we didn't do any vocal originals during that period.
Right, yep. And then, as you say, Nathan came along and things changed.
Yep. Yeah, we decided to do more original material with vocals, and just it was helpful that three of us write songs. So probably took about a year for us to get our album out, our next album, which was called New Wave, which was all vocal, a couple of instrumentals, pretty much. And then it was quite a gap between that one and the next one, which was Earth versus Space Part 1. 6 years it took. How did that happen, Kev?
Look, I wasn't contributing. I didn't write any songs during that time. I'm not sure why.
I just don't know why it took us so long, because we had the songs. We're slow at recording. This is why we're putting out EPs instead of full albums.
Life gets in the way.
Yeah, that's right.
Before you know it, 6 months have passed.
Yes.
Then a pandemic comes along.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. So, yes, in 2016, you released your first album with Nathan called New Wave. And then, how do I say it? You decided to put a trilogy together.
Yeah, so the original idea was going back to the songwriter thing in the band, that we would do 3 4-track EPs. Each EP would have a cover version and one song each by the 3 songwriters. But we kept to that for the first one, but then we had a couple of songs left over from that in the can because they didn't fit that format. And then when it came time to do part 2, we thought, okay, we'll just sling everything we've got on there. So we had those 2, Carport Rock and Beyond the Sky, that were already recorded, and then we put together the remaining 4. And the songwriting credits are still reasonably divided between the 3 songwriters. Nathan has only 1, Darren and I have 2, and then we have our cover version for Kev, the non-songwriter, to sing.
So you are included, Kevin. I mean,
I am.
Yes.
Well, just pretend he wrote it.
That's right, yeah.
So Earth vs. Space Part 1 was the first one.
Yeah.
That came out in August 2023. And then just in the last week or 2, is it? Earth vs. Science Part 2, The Final Frontier, the second instalment in the trilogy. Well, let's before we go on any further, let's just have a listen to one of the songs. We'll start with When Will Starman Come?
Starmen.
What can you tell us about this song?
Oh, well, I wrote that one, and it's one of those songs about, what would happen if aliens landed, kind of thing. Are they going to be evil? Are they going to be, is it going to be like that Twilight episode, To Serve Man, Are they going to have cookbooks? Just kind of it's probably a well-trodden, scenario, just in science fiction. What will they do when they come?
Maybe they've been watching Netflix and they want to meet all the, TV Hollywood actors.
Perhaps.
All right. Well, does this song answer the question, or just poses the question?
It poses the question. Yes.
I hear it being asked quite often in this song.
All right. Well, let's have a listen. When Will Starman Come? From the new album by Space Party. Let's have a listen.
Mercenaries, prophets, A diverse alternative to mainstream radio with an emphasis on our local community. 2XXFM is a volunteer-based, not-for-profit community organisation. Find out how you can support your community station by volunteering on the air or behind the scenes. Visit 2XXFM.org.au.
And welcome back. You are with Spaceman, and we are on LocalnLive. We are live, and thank you for tuning in. People-powered radio. I don't say that enough, but there's my quota for today. And I am joined with Alex and Kevin from Space Party. Welcome back, guys.
Glad to be back.
So you enjoyed listening to your song in some good headphones, yes?
Yes. Actually, the mix sounded a little different.
It did. I'm used to listening to it on my phone and accepting that as the norm. And when you hear it on nice gear, that was a pleasant surprise, I got to admit.
And when you think that's only an MP3.
Mm-hmm.
So that was track from your latest album, Earth vs. Space, Part 2, The Final Frontier. And from what I read, it has 6 new songs, 5 originals and 1 cover. And Kevin, I believe you sing the cover version.
This is correct. This is the one song I've been singing live with the band for about 14 years. For a long time. I think at one point Darren sang the verses and I sang the chorus, but then maybe I did a good enough job. They let me sing the whole song at one point. So it's fun to sing. And it's just an old... It's an old song from
the Hondells.
Yes. So if you want to dig into the history of it, you can look that up on the old internet.
Shout out to the Hondells. They'll be listening. They love LocalnLive.
Yeah, I'm sure they're still
but
around.
we sort of derived our version more from a American punk band called The Queers. And in fact, they had an album that had that on it and Little Honda. And Little Honda was also one of the songs on our New Wave album, and I think we took our cues from the Queers for both of those.
I think you're correct.
Right, a cover of a cover.
Yeah.
Right, yep. And Alex, you talk about there being the 3 songwriters in the band.
Mm.
How is the songwriting process? Do the 3 of you write a song and then bring it to the table, or do the 3 of you work together to write a song?
We all write individually, not because we wouldn't want to write together. It's just that we have enough as individuals to bring in fact, more than enough. And because of the advances in home studios, I personally tend to do fairly definitive demos these days.
Yep.
And we always demo them, and then Darren does demos which are also really good and pretty much almost releasable by themselves. And Nathan does too. So we normally work together more on the arrangements rather than the writing. Well, we do leave certain things open-ended. Like I would never presume to, go into great detail about how the drumming should go or the bass playing or whatever, because we have a talented drummer and bass player who's going to think of far better drum and bass ideas than I could ever come up with. So everyone still gets to put their stamp on it.
Right, yep, their creative input to their own parts.
Exactly, and I think it's important that you leave that to them. Just because it's nice to feel like you've got some ownership of it. I couldn't be in a band where everything's note for note prescribed, or for example, Creedence. Think of them. Everything was dictated exactly by John Fogerty to the other 3.
Right, yeah.
Must have driven them insane. But by the same token, if you believe him, when they had a chance to contribute, they couldn't do it. So that's not the case with Space Party, however.
No, it's nice and relaxed when they come in with some chords for a song, and I'm supposed to learn the song before rehearsal, and I tend not to be as prepared as I should be, and so at least from a bass point of view, they tend to get spur of the moment, gut feeling kind of vibe from me that contributes to the song, hopefully. And they haven't said, "Hey, Kev," like Alex says. I must be doing at least half a good job, because there hasn't been any negative feedback. So
are they writing any bass solos into their songs?
No bass solos, but I mean, you can give it a bit of a feel that's just not 16th notes and got a bit of a groove to it, but not too much, so it's not sticking out, that sort of thing. So at least that's what I aim for when we're hashing out new songs at rehearsal.
So if you've just joined us, I'm talking with the guys from Space Party. They've just released their new album. It is called Earth vs. Space Part 2, The Final Frontier. It's out on all the streaming platforms or on Bandcamp if you want to buy it and support the guys with their music. And, of course, this is a Part 2. Part 1 was out in 2023, and you had your first album, New Wave, in 2016. I recommend you go back and listen to their earlier work. They've got some really good song titles like Attack of the Crab Monsters and What Happened to Captain Kirk? Or
Where's
Captain Kirk?
Who's Captain Kirk? Yeah.
Ah.
And
Where's Captain Kirk?
It's Where's Captain Kirk?
Where's Captain Kirk? Yeah. And so I guess the big question is Part 3. What's happening with Part 3?
Well, you have songs in the can, so we are hoping to be able to work it up at the moment. Logistically, slightly challenging because our drummer and co-lead vocalist has moved to Queensland. However, he still frequents Canberra on a monthly basis, so we're hoping to be able to rehearse some new material during the year. And of course, Kev, Nathan and I can work on stuff while we can down here as well, being co-located still. So yes, there is a hope for a Part 3, I think.
And with who's leaving? Nathan or Darren?
Darren's up in Queensland now.
With Darren in Queensland, I'm guessing a launch gig is not planned as yet?
We're trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're hopefully March or April.
Okay,
yeah,
March,
a little
April.
bit belated, but you know how it is here. You have to book several months ahead to get a gig nowadays. Most of the venues are quite full up.
Yeah, and there's no time limit, I reckon. If you release a single, you could do a launch party or 6 months later. It wouldn't matter.
This is true.
Yeah. And, all right, random question time. I asked you guys before we came to air a random question. Question number 8, I believe. All right. If you could swap lives with any other musician for a day, who would it be and what would you do? Alex?
Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath.
Nice.
What I would do is play through his gear really loudly.
Right, yep.
Except now it just occurred to me he's left-handed, so I can't use any of his bloody guitars, can I? Oh, well, I'll just have to bring my own.
And would you like to, perform with, a day where the band is headlining Donington or something?
That could be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be all right. I'm not used to playing for big crowds, so I don't know how I'd go, but, adrenaline will hopefully take over.
Indeed, yes. Kevin?
I'll go with Elvis Costello. So do I have his talent as well for a day, or am I
you more or less become the person for the day?
I would become Elvis Costello for a day, write as many songs as I could.
I was going to say, write a whole bunch of songs for Space Party albums.
And then bring them all back to Space Party. That would be my plan.
Yeah.
He's a witty lyricist, and he's worked with a gazillion different people, and he doesn't fall into any particular category, which is a good thing. And
get his manager to book Space Party to support him on tour.
That's right. I could just say, hey, let's get these guys in for the whole North American tour next year.
We could do that. We could be the attractions.
We could be.
Yeah, Nathan could play the little Farfisa keyboard.
He could. And I can get a Longhorn Dan Electro bass.
Yeah.
So.
And I could do nothing because Elvis covers all the guitar anyway. So there you go.
Yeah.
Wow, this was a dream, but could become reality.
It could.
It's a new year. Anything's possible.
That's right.
All right. So once again, new album, Earth vs. Space, Part 2, The Final Frontier, on the streaming platforms. We're going to go out with one more song off the album. This one is the cover, is it, Kevin?
This is the cover. It's called, I get the lyrics mixed up in the song a few times. It's a Little Sidewalk Surfer Girl, I believe is the title.
That's the official title.
That's the official
Kev.
title.
Might not be what is always sung, but
No.
that's the official title.
But I got the notes right. So we went with me getting the notes right. We weren't so worried about getting the actual lyrics right. I mean, that's the good thing about doing some of these obscure covers, too. It's almost like playing an original sometimes.
Exactly. Yep.
No one's going to say, you didn't say freak out. You said freak out, something like that. So, so that's why they're fun to do. You can put your own little personal touch on them.
Indeed. All right. Well, thanks, guys, for coming in on Local and Live.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
You are welcome. We'll keep an eye out for that launch gig, perhaps in March or April. But otherwise, everyone, I encourage you to get stuck into their music, not only their new album, but earlier works as well. And we're now going to listen to Little Sidewalk Surfer Girl by Space Party. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Little sidewalk surfer girl, show me how you shoot those curls. 'Cause I'm in love with you and everything you do. You got me in a whirl. Sidewalk surfing girl, little sidewalk surfing girl. Now you're surfing around the world. Girl, you look so sweet, surfing down the street. You've got me in a whirl. Sidewalk surfing girl. So grab your little boat and take it for a ride. No matter if you fall, I'll be by your side. Little sidewalk surfer girl, show me how to shoot those girls. 'Cause I'm in love with you and everything you do. You've got me in a whirl. Sidewalk surfing girl. Sidewalk surfing girl. Sidewalk surfing girl.
You're listening to 2XX FM, People Powered Radio.